Now I got to go back to Zoom, to iTunes again, and
Should probably have that on a loop.
yeah, I didn't have it set up as a loop. We've still got 2 or 3 minutes.
All right, I'm not seeing anything on Facebook yet. And I'm not seeing anything on YouTube yet. And I don't have the password, so you are going to have to.
Okay. The password is.
Well, you don't want to tell me the password necessarily.
Kimberly just saw it.
On which?
Facebook. On Facebook.
All right.
Okay. Yay. You said that's always a
I
little
got to refresh. Oh, yeah, it definitely takes 30 to 40 seconds, but. All right, there it is. Yep, Facebook is live. And
your audio is on Facebook.
Oh, that would be good if I muted, huh? All right, I'll mute and I'll just chat with you guys.
Okay. I'm muting. I'm going to mute myself too. I think that's probably the best way to do this, isn't it?
There's no walk-in music playing, and I thought you were going to give me an intro. There is no walk-in music playing, and I thought you were giving me an intro.
You're going out on Facebook.
Welcome to the Mighty Monthly Muse, the Chris Chandler Show. Chris, you're muted.
Oh, now I'm unmuted. I had to set the camera down to do that. This is going to be a rocky road. We're trying some different things. Okay, we're rolling. We're flying. Welcome to the Mighty Monthly News. Got a big show for you planned. Got a bunch of songs. You know, I really appreciate y'all supporting me. I'm trying some things. I'm a street musician, and this playing in front of the camera is a new thing, and we're learning as we go. So thanks for bearing with me on it. And we got a special guest for our first number. Yes, indeed, my music partner from Portland, Oregon. I think I'm going to get this started. Please welcome from Eugene, Oregon, Sean Shanahan. It's been my music partner for a few years. We were working on a record. Just before the start of this pandemic, we put it on hold till it's over. This is the title track. I'm working on being
while I'm working on building for my Lord, hell of a bill, one hell of a bill for my Lord, oh my Lord.
You know, it was Plato that said, knowing yourself was the beginning of all wisdom. I thought that knowing myself just justified my persecution complex. Now, my persecution complex comes from the fact that I am a performer and vicariously hang out with other performers. And between you and me, I am sick of all these people with their massive egos who have no interest in me. They look at me as if I have failed, but I am here to say I have not failed. I am the grand discoverer of a new way that does not work. Someone should make me a plaque.
While I'm working on a building, I'm swinging that hammer, get my reward. It's a hell of a deal, one hell of a deal.
I mean, to me, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and actually getting different results. I mean, like, take the wheel. They say that the wheel was humankind's greatest invention, but I'm here to say to you that it was not the wheel, it was the axle. And my video stopped. I told you we were going to have technical problems. That's good, because then I'll have to keep time to it. I have no idea why the video stopped, which stopped the music. And that's all right. We're learning things. I mean, even that idea was once fear. Can you imagine the first guy to see some other guy walking through the woods, pushing a cart? Him talking to his friend saying, damn kids today. Why, back in my day, we just picked up heavy shit and carried it. Because if you think about it, all scientific facts that we know on this earth to be true were once taboo. Every single human invention was thought to be poppycock. All human discoveries were at some point considered to be some threat to some dogma somewhere. Any artistic achievement was once smeared as vice. In fact, all human progress has come about because somebody, somewhere, at some time, refused to bow to authority, but instead bowed to the higher force, the unstoppable force of ideas. We could not have come out of the trees. Hell, we could not have gone into the trees if it were not. We could not have crawled out of the primordial ooze if it were not for the insubordination and obstinance of the idea. And we all have to face the fact that we're not going to live forever. And I think that is good, because I'm here to say that I do not want to live forever, but I want to help you, help me, help you build a world that will last forever. After all, one single daydream can change a million realities. And I want to dream a new reality. And there is no way to create a new reality than to dream. So I say, when life feels like a nightmare, wake up, take a nap, and dream. And remember that no one created this world except for you and me. The Bible has been misinterpreted. The world was not created in 6 days. In fact, it was not created at all, because, my friends, the world is still being created, and not in 6 days, in 3. And yesterday is gone, forgotten. Tomorrow will never come, leaving us only today. So, my friends, we better get busy, because all we got is this one short life in which we can walk upon the earth and stare into the clouds and imagine the world's glorious design. Because, my friends, your imagination is the world's glorious design. There is no God or forever. And for that, I thank God forever. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. I don't know what happened to my music in the last one. We just let it go. My apologies to Sean Shanahan. He does a great job on that number. But here we are on the 2nd of December. And today, I've been in Highland Park now for a year. And today is the 4-year anniversary of something that happened in my former home. And our community was hard hit. And I know we're all feeling hard hit in this pandemic. But I think it's important that we remember the things that have gone before us and the tragedies we've taken on and overcome. Today is the 4-year anniversary of the ghost ship fire in Oakland, California. And I want, having been a part of the alternative communities all of my life, in fact, one of the guys that's running tech today, Brian Dozer, I knew him back in the day when I was living in a commune for street musicians in Boston. And I've done that and lived in studios and strange places most of my life, a lot of times in a car. Fire somehow makes the world a much darker place. So many bright lights lost in one titanic tinderbox, a supernova of hope. But where does it begin? Which immense imago strikes the match, which sets the spark, which ignites this particular darkness? And into that darkness sets sail a ghost ship bound for eternity, our eternity, Oakland. There's an abundance of blame, layers of liability that lead to such a loss. Vulcan's vacuum, Oakland. Bob Dylan said, to live outside the law, you must be honest. Art has long been the underground route that makes the San Francisco Bay so seductive. From Ferlinghetti to Ferranti, John Lee Hooker to Tupac, the Dead to the Dead Kennedys, Green Day to today. That is why they live there. There is no there there. There is nothing but there there. They're not just there, they are there. They are the there that makes there there. To live outside the law, you must be honest. And we have all enjoyed a looseness that comes with the vast artistic expression from our own local communities, even as rents rise at a rampant rate. It is not far-fetched to say that we are the reason that the gargantuan Googles want to come there, even with rising rents and tenements through the wake of Uber footprints so enormous they actually cause sea levels to rise, swallowing all that is above ground, driving the artistic community underground, only to reemerge refurbished in abandoned warehouses with absentee landlords, left vacant and ossified by the very same rising rents. But we've all been there before. To live outside the law, you must be honest. I, for one, once belonged to a commune of street musicians, jugglers, and magicians in the late 80s. Before that, for me, it was warehouse parties and the hard rock of the 70s, in the punk rock basements in the following years, all semi-legal at best. It could have been me. It could likely have been you. If you too have been there, then you too know it could have been you. Perhaps would have been you if. To live outside the law, you must be honest. So I'm here to say, make it easier, not harder, to get a cabaret license, to pay an inspection, lower fines, do not raise them. Be tolerant, helpful. Do not make a knock at the door by a person in a uniform be a cause for a panic. Do not drive us deeper underground, for there is plenty of blame to go around. To live outside the law, you must be honest. Who killed Davy Moore? Why and what's the reason for? Not I, said the concert promoter. Not I, said the leaseholder. Not I, said the building owner. Not I, said the city. Not I, not I, not I. No, how about I? I too am responsible. I too once lived in a full-time working studio in Oakland. I too was not fully up to code, though I made a shit ton of improvements after the fire. Now I'm in a second studio since the fire, and you bet your ass I'm staying up to code. To live outside the law, you must be honest. Know what the codes are, and know that it's not just Oakland. How about you, urban pioneers of Detroit? How about you, post-Katrina flippers of New Orleans? How about you, hanging on by the skin of your teeth in rent-controlled San Francisco? How about you, Festival on the Playa? How about you? How about you? To live outside the law, you must be honest. And it is time, my friends, for us to tighten up our ships, because our artistic community cannot afford a loss of so many young people. 36 of them, the brightest lights in the city, the ones that would be, should be, and in some ways are illuminating our way right now. Never again do I want to go to the memorial of a friend and have a mother look me in the eyes as she's telling me of receiving a text that reads, "I love you, Mom. I'm going to die now." Never again tighten up our ship, for if we do not tighten up our ship, the ship we will be on will be a ghost ship. The ghost ship fire, harkening back to the days when we could actually get together. The city came up with a settlement just last week. But since today was the 4-year anniversary, I thought I would bring it up. And I am going to make an effort at trying to get this technology right, so y'all be patient with me. Enjoy the Pete Weiss and the Weistronauts. It's an anniversary of another tragedy from California, but I hope this one leaves us with some hope. Once again, Sean Shanahan.
Oh, Daddy, won't you take me down to Butte County, old feathered river, Paradise Lake. I'm sorry, my son, too late and nasty. The fires all burn me.
Paradise Lost. But perhaps not the way that you're thinking that it did. Lately, a couple of years ago, walking through the streets of San Francisco, Oakland, Sacramento, Berkeley, felt like today we were all walking around complaining that our N95 masks fit too tightly. And as we complain, we remember the lives of those that have been more severely impacted than our own. Loss of life, loss of family, loss of home, loss of community, big picture stuff. But every picture is composed of many smaller ones that depict lives impacted in ways that we can't even think of, don't even think of. Even though it's the smaller picture that depicts the greater reality. The littlest bird sings the prettiest song. In California, paradise, before the fire. Our lives were being played out on a Sunday morning sidewalk basis. Hey, you know what pisses me off? They do the trash pickups on Monday. And you know, every month's got a Monday holiday. What, Veterans Day? No trash pickup? What's wrong with that? Do you think they'll ever fix those potholes? Hey, did you hear that Paradise Adventist Academy advanced to the Northern California semifinals? Paradise Adventist, really? Do they even have a football team? Volleyball. Girls volleyball. Before the fire, just like the pandemic today, these were the buzzes of front porch Monday morning chit-chat, the stories on the local AM radio stations, the front pages of the local newspaper, the Paradise Post, which is now in ashes. And though it was in ashes, the Paradise Post, through the help of her sister paper, the Chico Enterprise Record, continued to publish as she did before the fire. Only there was no town to deliver the papers to. So they delivered the papers to the evacuation centers.
And there's nothing short of dying. Half the globe, half the sun. Sunday morning.
Because we all know what happened. Over a 2-day period, what started off as a small brush fire went well west of the town and swelled into a bonfire and turned Paradise into Hades in a matter of hours. Potholes and volleyball were no longer on anyone's mind. Grab your family and escape, escape, escape. But not all of the pre-fire drama of Paradise's Refuse to Die community was turned into floating ash that settled into your car windshield in Berkeley. There are 12 players on the Paradise Adventist Academy varsity volleyball squad. Go Cougars! They and their families made it out alive. Barely. Eight of the members of that team and their families lost their homes, lost everything, and the entire team was spread out, staying in shelters or with relatives from Shasta to Stockton. How could there be a volleyball game? But this is the semifinals, and no sport in the school's long history had never made it that far. And their opponent, the Forest Lake Lady Falcons, assumed that the Cougars would have to forfeit, and the Falcons began preparing for their next opponent. But the Cougars, they refused to be defeated. Yet the Cougars had no equipment, no uniforms, no place to practice, no place to play, no home. But these girls, now that's a different story. And I thank God on that Thanksgiving Day that they didn't see things like you and me. My friends, never underestimate the power of young women.
And I saw Daddy with a laughing little girl swinging. And I stopped beside someone's street, listening to the song you sang. And I hid.
I told you we were going to have some technical problems. The video stopped. It froze on me. Got a suspicion as to why that is, but I don't know. These girls, they took to social media and they let it be known that they needed the game to go on. And in solidarity, the Lady Falcons agreed to host. The Lady Cougars, their lives in total chaos, arranged for transportation from points unknown to Auburn, California, home of the Forest Lake Christian School. And these 12 girls met in a parking lot for the first time since the fire. One of them had managed to get some white t-shirts from the shelter, and they scrawled with black Sharpie Cougars on their t-shirts. And together they linked arms, united, defiant, and together they marched into the opposing team's gym. And there they were met with something that few teams hear when they walk into an opposing team's gym. They were met with a standing ovation. And they were met with much more, because within 24 hours of the devastating fire, the Lake Park Falcons had collected $1,600 in donations, and laid out on the visiting team's bench were new knee pads, socks, and most impressively, new uniforms that matched the players' numbers and name on the back, matched perfectly to what they would have worn had the fire not happened. And my friends, the Lady Cougars went on to win that game against the Forest Lake Falcons. They won the game, but not the match. But in truth, they won much more than any volleyball squad could, including being the champions of my heart. And it would be poetic to say that the Lady Cougars went on to win the California State Championship. But in a way, they did. But instead, what actually happened, I'm sorry for the pun, but Paradise lost. They had to lose because, my friends, this is not Hollywood. This is paradise. Oh, thank you. Thank you for bearing with me while I'm getting the kinks worked out on what I'm trying to do. I hope you appreciate it. Happy December, everybody. I hope you're doing okay. Awesome. Oh, insert anecdote here about a technical problem with this one, but I had one. You know, most people think of winter as being a frozen period. The poets draw metaphors of death, the withering way of life, moving on from the autumn years to our inevitable demise. But this is my favorite line I've ever written. I say, damn the poets. E. E. Cummings wrote, snow does not give a soft white damn whom it touches. I always like that about winter. Snow makes your weed-infested junkyard look just as nice as your Presbyterian neighbor's manicured fescue. Winter is something you can feel in your bones.
It makes us aware of our skeletal structure as it strips the trees of summer, allowing us to behold the bones of the earth. We see her landscapes without her gaudy gardenias and great green summer trees, her trendy autumn scarves, her hoary spring negligees made of tulips and bumblebee. We see the earth naked as we see our lover the next morning, makeup kissed away. The low slant of winter's morning light reveals the angles of her jawline, down comforters and a sluggish sunrise. Let us stay in bed a little longer as we look within. Some creatures hibernate. For them, winter is gone in a flash. But it is the cold of the winter that gives them the strength to make it through the rest of the cold-hearted year. April is the cruelest month. It is the winter that taught the ant generosity and the grasshopper responsibility. Okay, in the original, the ant ate the grasshopper during the length of that long winter, but I bet the grasshopper learned his lesson. To be interested in the changing seasons is a much happier state of mind than to be hopelessly in love with spring. Perhaps there is a reason that so many people could not start a conversation if it were not for the weather. So I say, God bless the winter, for it is both an end and a beginning. We're going to be having a new year soon. This is the end of 2020. The winter is both an end and a beginning. Winter is something that brings us to praise the hard yellow warm chimneys as we gather in tighter circles to hear the tales of the harsher seasons until the snow melts and we can venture out into the severity of spring, armed with fresh vim, ready to conquer the rest of the oncoming year. That is Winter Song. That is from the Matadors album. That's hysterical. I'm going to do one more for you. Thank you so much for gathering around. You guys can support this broadcast. PayPal.com/PayPalMe/BaldChandler or Patreon at The Chris Chandler Show. Kimberly has a good job, and I'm not eating off of this, but I do want to make this broadcast pay for itself until it comes a time that we can go out on the road again. So you guys up for a story?
Yeah, let's hear a story, Chris.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to do one more for you. Before I do this piece, I want to tell you about the seasonal spectacular we are putting together. This is going to be a joint venture between me and my friend Tim Mason. It's going to support the Utah Phillips Long Memory Project. It's going to have a lot of heavy hitters on the bill. Dan Byrne, Elise Bryant, Ann Feeney, Oliver Steck, Amanda Kitchens, Tom the Bubble Man from Santa Cruz. If you know him, you don't want to miss that. I'm going to be a small part of this show, but I'm really looking forward to it. That's going to be on December 26th, which is St. Stephen's Day. It is Boxing Day. It is the first day of Kwanzaa. It'll be a multicultural seasonal affair, and I am really, really looking forward to that. And with that in mind, I want to tell this story. It is a true story. It is absolutely a true story. And so it came to pass that the three wise men came westward from the four corners across the painted desert and saw the bright neon star illuminating the sky high above the Tropicana Hotel and Casino. I am not making this up. The three wise men had been locked in a self-storage bin in a suburban town east of where the king was born. The king's star had soared high above the land, and that was foretold all mankind would be forever changed after his arrival. And all of this turned out to be true. But when the Magi were finally released at the start of this holiday season, they had no idea what their first destination would be. And how could they? Because the Magi had never been anywhere. No one had visited them in nearly a year, and cobwebs and dust were already taking over the storage bin. Nonetheless, they had been released, and their first destination was to the city where the king was born. And I am talking, of course, about Tupelo, Mississippi. My mother loved Christmas. Every year she made new ornaments for as long as I can remember. When I was a kid, the ones that I remember the best were the three wise men. They were made of strips of old rags, wheat pasted round quart-sized 7-Up, Dr. Pepper, and Cheerwine bottles, painted with Byzantine robes, kite string for beards. The shiny yellow lid to a Prel shampoo bottle was used as a jewel in one of the crowns. And the chest, containing the gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh, was made from the red plastic hotel of a Monopoly set. In the time of King Herod, the Magi came to Jerusalem to ask where the king had been born, for they had seen the star rise, which foretold of his coming. And Herod called out to his scribes and astrologers into council, and it was concluded that he was born in Bethlehem of Judea. And the three wise men were sent by Herod with gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And most importantly, they were sent with instructions to return and tell Herod the exact location of his birth. In short, the three kings were spies. My mother had passed away in February. And that Thanksgiving, I returned to my hometown of Stone Mountain, Georgia, to plant a dogwood tree in her honor. It was my first return home since her passing, and enough time had passed for me to be able to roll up the storage bin and take back home a few precious memories of her: gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And I decided to look through more boxes stacked inside the storage bin in search of more treasures, the vestiges of a life now enshrined in Ziploc baggies and neatly folded and stuffed into Tupperware containers, awaiting their fate to be decided by their heirs. Afterlife. I opened the red and green Tupperware, and the profusion of creative childhood memories rose like the dough of my first Chef Boyardee pizza, and the memory of my mother turning that red plastic Monopoly piece into a chest, and then Elmer's gluing it into the hands of a Dr. Pepper bottle, transforming the mundane into holy works of art. Called to me, the wise men simply must make the journey. And when the wise men found the Holy Family, they did indeed present the gifts of gold, frankincense, and more. But more importantly, upon their arrival to Bethlehem on the 12th day of Christmas, thus launching the first Mardi Gras season, the Magi had an epiphany. And much like the former slave trader John Newton writing Amazing Grace, as he turned his slave ship around and set his captive cargo free, the kings had a change of heart, and they warned the Holy Family of Herod's intent to kill this potential threat to his power. Epiphany. And not knowing that the Holy Family had been warned, King Herod sent forces to kill all the young children in Bethlehem. It is known as the Massacre of the Innocents. However, the Holy Family had escaped to Memphis, Egypt. And so it came to pass that the three kings made their way from Memphis to a 1996 Saturn so they could witness the giant chrome pyramid known as the Memphis Convention Center in Memphis, Tennessee. I am not making this up. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee. The Lorraine Motel is now a civil rights museum. Frankincense. B.B. King defined the sound of Memphis blues music, where it is preserved on Beale Street, also known as B.B. King Highway. We're talking Highway 61. It is from there he started it. He is known as the king of the blues. His music served as an inspiration and the roots of what would later become rock and roll. Elvis Presley, born in Tupelo, Mississippi, became the king of rock and roll. He came to Memphis for the music. He lived there. His house in Memphis is a museum to generations. He had more gold records than anyone else, and he has arguably been heard by more people than anyone else in this hemisphere. Believable. Hi, how you doing? Sorry about that. I'm having all kinds of technical problems, and I really appreciate your patience and bearing with me. He has arguably been heard by more people than anyone else born in this hemisphere. Gold. These three kings of Memphis had changed the world by bridging the cultures of black and white. Elvis Presley imbibed the black roots music of B.B. King, which made it palatable for white audiences by turning it gold, while Martin Luther King used the power and organization of the church to knock down the Jericho walls of segregation. After warning the Holy Family, the Magi did not return to Jerusalem as instructed by Herod, and they chose to live in exile for the remainder of their days. There are many stories about what happened to the Magi after that December morning. I know for a fact that they went from Memphis, Tennessee to Okemah, Oklahoma to visit the home of Woody Guthrie, and to Madrid, New Mexico, and up to the Four Corners and across the Holy Hopi land. And as America passed in my rear view and news reports of our multiple wars flashed in front of me like mile markers amongst billboards advertising the holiday season, I thought of the slaughter of the innocents. And so it came to pass that the three wise men came westward from the Four Corners, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico, across the painted desert, and saw the bright neon star of the Tropicana Hotel and Casino in Laughlin, Nevada, illuminating the sky. And this time, there was room at the end. You know, when crossing the desert, I recommend taking refuge in a casino, not a manger, because if you don't gamble, which I don't, it's a cheap way to rest. And that luxurious hotel was only $19, and it came with a free buffet. And who's to say that the wise men will not come to visit? The hotel even gave me a $5 credit card in which to gamble. Well, I don't usually do that, but under the circumstances, I figured, what the hell? And I am not making this up. I went out to my car and I grabbed that red Tupperware container and I brought it into the casino. And I got in front of a one-eyed bandit and I carefully placed the three wise men on a bar stool. In front of the one-armed bandit. And I inserted that card and I pulled back the handle. Elvis Presley was singing Wise Men Say over the Muzak sound system. 3 stars rolled around and stopped. A chorus of Casio keyboards rained from the heavens like a gift. And I won gold. I won frankincense. I won myrrh. I won $19. The room was paid for. I removed the card and put the wise men back in the Tupperware containers, where they will continue their voyage into the setting sun from the land to the east, across Route 66 and home. I had left home on October 25th and was on the road for 40 days and 40 nights. And I am grateful to all of those who helped the weary traveler along his way in the holiday season. But this holiday season, let's none of us do any traveling. Let's stay right where we are. I know we love to travel on the holidays, but this time will be a Christmas to remember, because maybe, just maybe, our Savior is indeed coming. And when our Savior comes, this time, there's going to be plenty of room in the inn. Thank you so much for gathering around. My name's Chris Chandler. I do a show every Wednesday at noon. I do the poem of the day. And once a month, the first Wednesday of the month, I do the Mighty Monthly Muse, which you have just witnessed. I'm not going to apologize for the technical difficulties, but I am going to say I'm working hard to figure them out. And I'm always trying to do something different. Often I do more than I can pull off, but you know, that's what it is. Round of applause for Kimberly for working so hard today. Brian Dozer and Vern Crawford. I wish I could actually see you, but I'm actually looking into the lens of a camera and I have no idea what's going on out there. And if there's any of you there still in the Zoom meeting, I'd love to hang out with you for just a second. Yes.
Thanks, Chris.
You survived, Chris.
Just barely.
I just switched it to gallery view, so those of
Yeah,
us
I can see you guys, but I gotta look that way. Hi. Oh, that was
amazing
fun.
the
That was
technical stuff you do, Chris.
well, thank you, Vern. I appreciate it. Amongst the technical problems was the stool I was sitting on broke.
Hmm.
So he's got 4 or 5 of us there in Zoom. Leave it to me to send out Zoom invitations to with the wrong Zoom address on it. Always shooting myself in the foot.
Looks like there's a dozen people.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hey, Chris,
the one I'm looking at has like 3 people there, and I'm talking into a phone that's that way, which I guess is in gallery view, so I can see more people. Hey, Alan Miller.
how you doing? Hey, I wanted to show you this T-shirt I got that I think you'll appreciate.
Is that Burning Down 2020?
It's 2020 as a dumpster, so it's a 2020
it's
as
a
a
dumpster fire.
fire.
It
Yeah,
really has been.
yeah. I just couldn't resist buying that. I wanted to let you know that I've been to the Long Memory Project at Black Butte, and I actually posted a picture. It was taken a few weeks ago of Utah's sons at the project, and they painted the flanger, and looks great. So I don't know if you can download what I put in the chat, but I posted a photo.
Oh, cool. Cool.
Yeah, it's